Does bigger equal better in the realm of possibilities? Well, if you're really going to look at it, I don't think that bigger does equal better, because there's definitely a lot of examples that you can note on when it comes to it. With some games taking 10 years to develop with a bigger budget and everything and not being better than the previous entry of that formula. Honestly, it is definitely really interesting to take a look at, because all of these things and some games are considered still to be the best games that were ever created with only 5 years and maybe $5 million to develop, which is definitely really crazy. If you were going to look at Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, those were only 3 years between each other. And the original Super Mario Galaxy apparently took only 2 years to develop, which began after Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which is absolutely insane. But overall, that is still better than 10 years for the next 3D Mario game. You best believe it that this was going to be the best game that you ever played, because or else you would be like sitting here, why did it take so long? 10 years to develop this? What in the world is going on here? With Mario Kart World, that's exactly what happened. How did it take 10 years? Was it the open world? Was it the cards? Was it the music? What in the world is going on here? All of these things aside, definitely make for an interesting argument. Are games better when they're cheaper to make and you get more of them, so quantity over quality, I guess? Or would you rather quality over more games? Which technically, even if a game doesn't take that long to develop, doesn't mean that the game is going to be hogwash. It's going to be absolutely terrible, because that is not the case. Just recently, we got a game that only took about 3 years to develop and about $5 million, I would say, and that is Splatoon Raiders. Splatoon Raiders is one of my favorite games of the year, and honestly, it is pretty fantastic. I guess it might depend on what sort of genre of games you like, but I'll tell you right now, I'm not even the biggest fan of standard Splatoon because I'm not a really multiplayer guy. But this really came at a perfect time, being able to just sort of replay sort of the same level, but not really make your build stronger and better. It definitely is a whole lot of fun when you look at it. And I honestly want to see more games sort of like that, experimenting with an IP that you actually like, but making a game take less long to develop. Like, if you were gonna look at it, the 3D Mario sort of sequel here is definitely really interesting. If you were going to look at one hand, Bowser's Fury didn't even take that long to develop, and we got a pretty good Mario game. It was pretty good and substantial, because they probably put maybe 2 years into that. It could be even less, maybe even 1 year, because they were figuring, hey, so this is the 35th anniversary, let's go and upscale Super Mario 3D World, and let's add this game into it. So there you go, you had Bowser's Fury, and that game lasted for a good 3 hours. If they were to put a more chunk of time into it, like maybe an extra 2 years, this could have been a full-fledged 3D Mario game. Of course, it's not going to be as big as most people are anticipating, but you really look at that and you're like, at least I have my 3D Mario experience. Plus, if a game takes 10 years to develop, the expectations, you best believe it, are going to be pretty high. With high expectations, if that doesn't meet the requirements here, you might be let down in some ways. Because right now, with the expectation being so high for the next 3D Mario game, it seems that most people want some open world adventure, some Mario Galaxy universe hopping game, whatever the case may be. All of these things definitely make for a really, really interesting thing. Like, honestly, personally think that games don't need to cost this much to make just to have a good experience. Like, honestly, a perfect example of this would have been, like, I don't know, Splatoon Raiders. That you don't need that much development time, and it's a good game. Same thing goes with Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. All of those games, they didn't take that long to make, and they were good experiences. But also, if you were going to look at the other way, like, longer means better. The expectations are going to be through the roof. A perfect example of this might be, I guess, GTA, because that game took $2 billion to make. But let's Rockstar do what Rockstar does best and actually delivers on a game. When you play a Rockstar game, you best believe it that you're going to enjoy that game. So let's just let that be. But now when you look at Pokemon on the other hand, you see those games sort of not pumping as much juice and then sort of taking longer to develop, and it seems like the developers don't actually know what they're doing when it comes to art style and stuff. But yeah, I feel like Pokemon might be the only exception to this rule, because it seems like the developers are not efficient when it comes to time management and squaring away what they want the game to actually be about. So let's just give them an extra 5 years and $50 million. They'll probably figure it out, right? But all of those things aside, it definitely make for the one question of the day. Do games are better? Are games better when they're like cheaper to make, cheaper in time, cheaper in resources? Or would you rather a game that is bigger and better, and a game that takes 10 years, so that means that you can only play one of those games in each decade, which is definitely crazy. So all of those things aside, I honestly think that Nintendo is the only company that is actually doing this right. Because yes, games do take a long time to make for the next entry. With 3D Mario taking 10 years, Zelda most likely taking 10 years, because now that the Tears era is done, or the Breath of the Wild era is done, they're probably going to have to develop a whole new experience, a whole new way to play, so that's most likely going to take 10 years. I honestly find it kind of crazy. As technology improves, as people get more efficient on developing games, you would think that the time would go down, the cost and the time would go down. It seems like we completely did a 180 and went the other way instead, because oh boy, it definitely got crazy. But yeah, anyways, I honestly do think that Nintendo is the one that's doing the best thing, because if you look at it, every single month we have a brand new Nintendo game. Splatoon Raiders, you also had Tamagotchi Life, Tennis Fevers, you also had a lot of other games this year, and a lot of them people like Tamagotchi Life, Rhythm Haven, and even Splatoon Raiders now. There's a lot of fans that are really liking those games. So obviously they know what they're doing here. Plus we're getting remasters of one of the best games of all time, which didn't even take that long to develop either, which was Ocarina of Time, and still to this day considered one of the greatest games of all time. It's definitely really interesting here. So overall, I think that, Nintendo's probably doing the best thing that they can with remasters and remakes coming out every so often, with games upon games coming out, in the months of so. And we also have the big games that you could say the big game. What is the big game exactly this year that took like 10 years to develop? I guess we don't even have one. Overall, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that games should take longer to develop, and Nintendo is doing the best they can with longer development times and things by releasing remasters? Nintendo Switch 2, I don't like those. Nintendo Switch 2 editions, I hate those so much. Or other things, smaller games, and whatever the case may be. Or do you think, no, it should be just like game. Get rid of remasters. We don't need that. It should be just games. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Consider that like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. We do a bunch of different Nintendo content on this channel. Anyways, thank you so much. See you in the next one.